there's no fear here. We know that we have the moral high ground and that we're doing what's right, not only for the human race, but for the rights of nature.
Thousands of Native Americans and activists are doing all they can to stop the completion of a crude oil pipeline which would span 4 U.S. states. Hello, I'm Anand Naidu in Washington, D.C., and this is The Heat. Native Americans and activists across the world are showing their solidarity with the Standing Rock Sioux tribe in the U.S. state of North Dakota. For months, thousands of indigenous people and activists have protested the construction of a crude oil pipeline known as the Dakota Access Pipeline. The $3.7 billion US project would move crude oil through the U.S. states of North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, and Illinois. Supporters say the pipeline could produce as much as 374 million gallons of gasoline a day, changing the landscape of the U.S. crude oil supply. Native Americans and environmentalists warn if completed, the pipeline endangers the primary water source for the Standing Rock Reservation.
This is the Cannonball River, and this flows into the Missouri River, which is just over there. Pipes always break. It will break. And within about 10 minutes, it'll be to our freshwater intake for the tribe.
Tribe leaders also say the construction and placement of the pipeline threatens ancient Native American graves. Joining us now from North Dakota via Skype is Tara Houska. She's the U.S. National Campaigns Director of Honor the Earth, a citizen of the Couchiching First Nation and participating in the pipeline protests. Tara, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
The developer of this pipeline, Energy Transfer Partners, says, in its words, that it's mobilizing drilling equipment right now to drill under Lake Oahe. What do you know about this?
The company Dakota Access has indicated that they will be proceeding with drilling under the river within the next few weeks. I find that very troubling, as they actually do not have a permit to drill under the Missouri River. The Department of Justice, Department of the Army, and Department of the Interior have all indicated now multiple times that they have suspended all the permits related to this project and are doing a review process. So they're proceeding without a permit and in violation of the law. And as we've seen, the police force that's been so brutal towards Native American protesters, and as we call ourselves protectors, they are using the law as their backing to do these things, and now they're going to be operating entirely outside of the law.
Right, you say the police have been very brutal against protesters. They're also the company is using a private security company.
They are, and that private security company actually is the one that unleashed dogs on Native American men, women, and children when they skipped ahead over 20 miles in their construction plan to destroy sacred sites that had just been identified the day prior by the tribe. And when Native Americans ran up the hill to try and stop this from happening, that private security force released dogs that bit Native American men, women, and children. And, there have been no charges filed, although the police are aware that that happened.
Now, the protests against the pipeline have been going on since April. There's something like 2,000 people at camps in Cannonball, North Dakota. What are conditions there like?
People are joined here in peaceful prayer, and they've come from all over the world at this point to stand with Standing Rock. There have been hundreds of indigenous nations that have come to lend their support. Because Native people are often disparately impacted by extractive industry, we know how this feels when it happens in our communities, and we know how it feels to see, a pipeline or a coal mine or a copper mine or whatever it happens to be right next to our communities, impacting our drinking water, impacting the human cost to our people. And so this has become kind of this moment where indigenous people are standing up for not only the environment, but they're standing up for their rights. North Dakota and many other states are used to running over indigenous people. They actually rerouted this pipeline from north of Bismarck, which is a largely white community, because of concerns to the drinking water, and they put it a half a mile north of the Standing Rock Sioux Reservation. So somehow it was okay to put it next to an Indian reservation, but it wasn't okay to put it next to a white community. It's a picture, a clear-cut example of environmental racism, and Native Americans are saying enough is enough.
Now, what kind of response has there been to these protests? I know that you have gone to court, and the court rejected that appeal to stop construction. So what options are open to you now?
There's several legal proceedings that are happening that have been ongoing, and the court has rejected the preliminary injunction appeal. However, the actual underlying court case against the Army Corps of Engineers to issue an environmental impact statement, that's one of the crazy parts of this whole project, is that they never did an environmental impact statement, which is a high-level review that would guarantee, that would look at what are the actual cumulative impacts of this project. What are the impacts to Native American sites, sacred places? What are the impacts to the drinking water? What are the impacts to the public health? What are the risks at issue? That was never done. And so there's a court case that's been proceeding all this time about that. And meanwhile, there's been this grassroots, mobilization that has drawn the attention of now the world, to say that this is not right. This should not be happening. This tribe has said, no, we don't want this pipeline going through our drinking water, yet the project has proceeded. That's not free and informed consent. That has, it's destroying places that can never be replaced. Sacred sites, once they're gone forever. And so it's not just, indigenous people. These are gone from the face of the earth. And so there's been this grassroots effort. There's also been, pressuring the president, pressuring Obama. He only has now 2 months left in office. And it looks like our next president is going to be one that doesn't even think climate change is real. That's a very serious issue, and one that our president that's still in office needs to address. Waiting several weeks to see it play out, which is what he said he's planning on doing, is not an answer, as we're actually being hurt by the police.
Now, you are getting the support of a growing number of Hollywood celebrities, among them Mark Ruffalo. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
These are all human beings, just like everyone out there watching. And their livelihood, their families, their sacred places, their cemeteries are all being desecrated and attacked. Put yourself in that place.
So, big, well-known names. Is it helping the cause?
I think so. Today, actually, Daryl Hannah and Neil Young are supposed to be on site. There have been several celebrities. Shailene Woodley is she's been a champion of this issue, always trying to support and elevate the voices of indigenous people who are saying, this is our drinking water, this is our children's futures, and this is also your drinking water and your children's futures. That's all we're trying to do. And the protection of these sacred places and destruction of burial sites. I mean, it should be a shame to the American public that we are still violating treaties in 2016. It should be a shame to the American people that we're charging Native Americans with trespassing on treaty lands. That's madness. It really is. These are the original peoples. We are the original peoples of this country, and we should be treated accordingly, and we should be treated with respect. And slamming these projects through without our consent is not respect. Violating our treaties is not respect.
There are an estimated 7.4 billion barrels of oil in an area in the states of Montana and North Dakota where they meet Canada. Do you think oil companies and the federal government is going to leave these deposits alone?
I think we've seen that our Congress is very much fueled by the fossil fuel industry, that there are very large ties to big oil, and the lack of campaign finance reform and the failure to repeal Citizens United has resulted in continued influx of these dollars and these interests in continuing to extract. That's not representative of the people. That's representative of corporations. And we're not saying that we're against energy. That's not accurate at all. There's also, when Mark Ruffalo came out to Standing Rock, it was he came at the time that we were actually being gifted. The encampment and the actual tribe themselves were being gifted solar panels. There is renewable energy and renewable industry that's expanding rapidly that can solve these energy issues. North Dakota is one of the windiest states in the country. I mean, we're there, and it's wiped out hundreds and hundreds of tents, just these giant winds. We're saying, let's move to the technology we already have. Why do you need to continue to extract and contaminate the drinking water and the environment and destroy these places for profits? Why is that the narrative, instead of investing in renewable energy, which is, powering ourselves from the sun and from the wind and from everything around us?
Okay, we're going to have to leave it there. Tara Houska, thanks for joining us. We are going to take a break right now. More of our conversation about the Dakota Access Pipeline right after that. Stay with us. You're watching The Heat.